Hi, guys. Meteorologist Lindsay Slater here. Happy Friday. We have made it to the end of a work week. And I want to show you just a couple of things to talk about today. Kind of jumping ahead a little bit, I do want to show you going into next week. I've been looking at some of the hourly parameters, which I love to look at. Gives us an idea on wind directions without looking at weather models. It's just another way to tabularly, we're going to pretend that's a word, see it. And I can see by Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, our dew points are in the 60s. And we also have winds coming out of the south and southwest, also chances of thunderstorms in the forecast. So we are going to see a warm up. I am expecting 80s, and we could even see some strong storms in the forecast. I was looking at some of these weather models. I have up the GFS, which kind of gives us the overall trend on what's going on. I'm pulling up the jet stream. Now, with the jet stream, right now we're kind of in a zonal pattern, which means that we're kind of stuck in this like active pattern, this storm zone. But there is some heat building going into the end of the month. I do see some heat building. So it's going to happen. I know we all had kind of a crummy May, but as we go into the rest of June here, I mean, yeah, we are in mid-June, aren't we? I do see some heat building. So your heat is coming. If you want those cool days, they are coming, guys. Overall, though, the pattern you can see a little bit of a dip right there in the jet. So that likely means something active is on the way. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a snipping tool because it's a good way for me to just take a website and then I can draw on it. So right here is what I'm talking about. Nice trough and then a rise. So right here, there's likely going to be some kind of storm situation going on. So for us, I think we could be in the middle of some storms as well. Looks like there is a frontal boundary right there. I can tell that by here are the winds. There are the winds. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we have winds coming together. And when we have that going on, it's going to take any of that moisture and push it up. And that is indicating the potential of some rain chances in the forecast. So based on where those boundaries are, I can see that there's some things going on. Right here, looks like there's a meso low or even a low, maybe even here as well. So yeah, we could see some interesting things with this upcoming forecast. I'm going to keep going forward in time. And there you go. There's that little dip in the jet. So I would think maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, we have some storm chances. And if I go to the precip and look at the reflectivity, here's the thing. You have to have all the right ingredients in place. And while Tuesday does show some activity, at this point, my forecast shows a chance. Wednesday does as well. This might be more of like what we call mesoscale convective systems. These are big blobs of storms that happen a lot of times overnight. They're really tough to predict because weather models do not handle them well. But we could see some, soaking heavy rains out of this. Also, if we look at the atmospheric soundings, this also gives us an indication of what the atmosphere is doing. That's why we need these weather balloons, because this helps us forecast in real time. These are models. So I want to take a screen grab of this just to kind of highlight right here what we have going on. And if I pull this up, there you go. There is our weather sounding. So what you're looking for in a weather sounding is this red line, that is your temperature. So temperatures generally decrease with height, likely pick up mid-atmosphere, and then they go back like this. And then it really gets hotter the higher up it goes into the thermosphere. So that's your temperature. Then you have your dew point, which I will use a highlighter for. Oh, you can't see it. Stand by. Here's the dew point. It does make that noise, by the way. So now you have your dew points. So I can tell that there's some mid-level drying here. And then we have the temperature. And if you notice, these two don't really cross at all. When we're really capped, this crosses over and you have this big cap here. We don't have any of that. So there's no cap to worry about. But all this leftover space is called convective available potential energy, or CAPE. Why do we care about CAPE? Well, that tells us how strong storms could be. So I'm going to delete all that stuff. I'm going to zoom in here. So this does kind of tabulate our CAPE. And what do we see? 2814. That's pretty high for CAPE, even for here. Not the highest I've ever seen. I think the highest I've ever seen was like 5 to 7,000. That was in Mississippi during the April 27th, 2011 outbreak that I was sadly a part of. But yeah, big day. If you ever want to Google it, you'll see how bad it was. But I'm talking about here and now. We also have pretty close together the LCL and the LFC. LCL, that's where your moisture rises. That's your cloud base. And then LFC is the level of free convection. So once those little water droplets hit that LFC, they just continue to rise into the atmosphere, which is why we have really steep lapse rates that day. That means that, once these little air parcels get going, they can keep rising and keep rising. And that could give us the potential of some thunderstorms in the forecast. So As far as looking at this, it shows, a chance of severe weather. I think we could see some strong storms out of this day. It just depends on how it all kind of pans out. If we see a blob of rain in the morning on Tuesday, but then it kind of like squashes that atmospheric potential, I don't know how you get big storms later. You guys know we've always said that if you have morning activity and we don't clear up, the energy can't bump back in. So I think Wednesday's a day we want to watch out for sure. Looking at the Storm Prediction Center website, one I use constantly. Today there's an enhanced risk over towards oh goodness, all the way down through some of the Central Plain. I don't know, is that Central Plains more Rockies? Kind of Eastern Rockies, I would say at this point. We're seeing some of that east of Idaho, Montana, um, South and North Dakota, or mainly South Dakota is kind of in that as well. So Montana, Wyoming in this risk all the way down into the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. And the more of that tornadic risk is going to be centered over Montana and also Wyoming. So that's the prediction center for today. But just as I just showed you, day 4 outlook, there's a little uptick right here. So this would be, oh, it would look like a Monday, Tuesday thing. We're Tuesday, Wednesday. So, yep, there it is. Like I just showed you. That's why we're going to keep an eye on Wednesday. So, that's 6 days out. Don't put a lot of stock into it just yet. As far as temperatures go, we are going to see an uptick in temperatures going into about Monday, Tuesday. I'm trying to find the right weather model to show you. Here it is. And right, oh, where is it? Lindsay. There it is. So what we have going on is we have temperatures basically in the low 70s all weekend long. We get an uptick right here into those 80s heading into Monday through about Wednesday before we get that drop in temperatures after we get that weather system. And you can see if we look down here, yep, the Cape pops up on Wednesday. So that'd be the day I'd want to watch out for when it comes to anything strong or severe. Today and this weekend, we don't really have much going on. We have little pop-up chances of storms. I would say that happens much later in the day today. I'll pull up the H trip so you guys can see what I'm talking about. We have a weather system down here that could slingshot some moisture, and you'll see it right here pop up. There it is. This is happening around 4 or 5 o'clock, and then it kind of dissipates as the sun goes down. That's all we really have going on today. We predominantly have a northeasterly wind all weekend, so we will be cooler by the lakefront. And I do think that temperatures on Father's Day will be in the 70s, but if you're away from the lakefront, Waukesha, Pewaukee, Oconomowoc, West Bend, you'll probably get into the upper 70s. So I hope you guys have a great Father's Day weekend. I will be back here on Monday with your latest weather, and we'll keep a very close eye on Wednesday.